What scares you the most? Ghosts? Zombies? Graboids? One thing I love about a good horror movie is that they can tap into that primal fear that we as a species used to heavily rely on in a time before we sat on top of the food chain. Back when humans had to take care not to be a tasty snack for a hungry predator. Thankfully, that's something we don't have to worry about nowadays, for the most part. For some of us, we enjoy that instinctual tingling feeling we get from partaking in simulated danger. From the intensity of riding a roller coaster to the quaint thrill of a game of hide and seek. But one of the easiest ways to experience that rush is to head to your local theater or curl up on your couch and take in a movie like Jaws, Paranormal Activity, or 28 Days Later. One of the main reasons that horror films can be fun is the fact that the scenarios presented within most of them tend to lean towards the fantastical. Even the subgenre of an animal attack movie will play fast and loose with said animal's behavior or even its physical capabilities.
How the fuck did it do that?
Now, the prospect of you having to face off against a giant shark or an invisible demon in your day-to-day life is less than likely. And while the visceral thrill is still present within the movie, due to the outlandishness of the premise, you know deep down that there's nothing to be afraid of. Don't get me wrong, I love all these movies, but as I've grown and become more world-weary, my fears have evolved as well. You see, while films like The Exorcist may not provide the same kick that they used to, I've found that there are movies out there that don't carry the label of horror that can still disturb me. And in 2007, a film was released that features what I feel to be one of the most subtle yet horrifying scenes to ever exist in a non-horror film. Michael Clayton is a 2007 legal thriller and directorial debut of screenwriter Tony Gilroy. It stars George Clooney, Tilda Swinton, and Tom Wilkinson. A brief synopsis of the story is, a lawyer discovers a cover-up so large that it puts his life in danger. There's more going on than just that. It's a movie about a crisis of conscience and varying attempts at redemption. It's very good and I recommend it. And I tell you all that because from here on out, the movie will be spoiled, so check it out if you so choose. The titular Michael Clayton is a fixer for his law firm. He's an expert at finding the best solutions to a client's problems, be they shoplifting housewives or bent congressmen. He's a divorced father with a gambling habit that he's managed to stave off for the past 10 months. However, he's also in debt to a loan shark after the restaurant that both he and his younger brother invested in failed to turn a profit. Needless to say, Michael isn't doing well financially or spiritually. Not in the biblical sense, mind you, but as a person. His job is to help the corrupt and powerful get out of trouble as cleanly as possible, and that can wear on one's soul.
I don't know what Walter promised you, but I can
A miracle worker. Direct quote, okay? Hang tight, I'm sending you a miracle worker.
Oh, he misspoke. I'm not a miracle worker, I'm a janitor.
Now let's meet our antagonist. Yep, that's her. This is her very first scene, too. Surprised? This is Karen Crowder, the chief in-house lawyer for the agricultural products conglomerate U-North, which is currently being engaged in a multi-billion-dollar, 6-year class action lawsuit due to one of its weed killers being carcinogenic, leading to the deaths of 468 people. Jesus. But that's not the reason she's perspiring while sitting on the toilet. We'll get to that. You see, this scene takes place in the first 16 minutes before we flash back to the real meat of the story. Now, Karen's life is her work. As U-North's general counsel, she goes through great lengths to protect the company from any and all legal ramifications that they might endure. One of her duties is seeking out the best outside law firms with the most ruthless lawyers to defend U-North in court. And the firm that's been handling the weed killer case is Kenner, Bach, and Ledeen, Michael's firm. And while Michael is not involved, his colleague and friend Arthur Edens is the lead defense attorney on the case. But here's the problem.
Arthur Edens just stripped down naked in a deposition room in Milwaukee.
I love you, and I swear to God.
After suffering a manic episode and getting a little too comfortable, Arthur Edens is jailed, leading the firm to send Michael to Milwaukee to bail him out and get him under control. When we first see Arthur, he seems to still be in the midst of his mania, but within his mental breakdown there's a sense of clarity.
6 years of scheming and stalling and screaming, and what have I got? I spent 12% of my life defending the reputation of a deadly weed killer.
We had an agreement, Arthur.
No, wait, because it's years. It's lives.
Arthur's remorseful for his role in U-North's machinations. Being paid to discredit the victims of his massive corporate client has chipped away at his soul, and he can't take it anymore.
I'm an accomplice.
You're a manic depressive.
I am Shiva, the god of death.
Now, at this point, the best option, at least to both Michael and Karen, is for Arthur to step down and walk away from the case so that he can be replaced by someone else. But Arthur isn't just trying to back out, because he has discovered that not only was the weed killer highly lethal to humans, the company also knew that and did nothing about it. They just let people die for the sake of profit, and Arthur claims that he can prove it. But Michael isn't interested in chasing down the conspiracy. He's just trying to save Arthur from ruining his career, and the audience may agree with him. This is a man who, from what we've seen thus far, doesn't seem to have the mental faculties to handle much of anything at the moment.
How do I talk to you, Arthur? So you hear me? Like a child? Like a nut? Like everything's fine?
But then we begin to understand just how good of a lawyer Arthur is.
I have no criminal record in the state of New York. The last place you want to see me is in court.
He's sharp and dangerous, something Karen has begun to realize, having his phone tapped and his apartment surveilled to find out just how catastrophic Arthur intends to be. And Arthur lets them know by reading a damning memorandum that definitively proves that U-North turned a blind eye to the deadly properties of their weed killer.
You don't need me to tell you what that means. Goodbye.
Arthur intends to go public with the memo. Karen realizes that she can't let that happen and has a cryptic conversation with one of U-North's shady contractors about what to do about Arthur.
You have to contain this.
Contain?
Well, I'm wondering if there is some other option. I mean, something I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, we have some good ideas. You say move, we move.
Okay.
Is that okay? You understand, or okay, proceed?
I think you know what they're talking about, and that leads me to a scene that still gives me the chills every time I watch it. As Arthur exits his apartment, he's ambushed. After forcing Arthur to inhale an unknown sedative, the two men begin to move quickly and efficiently. No wasted time between movements because every second counts. They move him to the bathroom and lay him down on the floor. As one man removes Arthur's left shoe and sock, the other opens up one of Arthur's pill bottles and sets it on the sink before leaning down with a syringe. He injects Arthur in a vein between his toes. Arthur's right hand begins to tremble as one man checks his pulse. They wait, and wait, and wait.
We're good.
As one puts his sock and shoe back on, the other can be heard turning on the sink and scattering pills. They check his pulse one last time, being thorough, and then they leave him. During my first viewing, I didn't quite comprehend what Karen was suggesting in this moment. That scene is immediately followed by Michael at his father's birthday and Michael talking to his older brother. These two scenes shift the focus to Michael's personal troubles, and I wasn't thinking about Arthur. So when the next scene began with this, I wasn't prepared for it. It startled me. The entire scene is about 2 minutes of one unbroken tracking shot. There's no music, and aside from the sounds of shuffling and sparse dialogue, it's hauntingly quiet. But what I find so unnerving about it is how these two paid assassins are operating. They're not psychopathic killers like Anton Chigurh, nor are they emotional or panicked in their process. They remain cool and level-headed. No, even that doesn't really describe it. Not only is there no emotion, it's just a job. It's a mundane task for them, like they're moving furniture.
Ready? And lift.
As they wait for Arthur to die, they even take a quick breather, like construction workers at a job site or something. No panic, no rush. It's like they're not even committing homicide. And what's truly horrifying is that Arthur is still seemingly conscious during all of this. He's witnessing two men methodically murder him, and he can't stop it from happening. It's nightmare fuel. But the sickening cherry on top is that these two are very, very good at their job. They convincingly faked a suicide without a hint of foul play. In reality, that's apparently really hard to do. And I think that's what disturbs me the most. Not just the idea of being so meticulously eradicated that no one will question your death, but that under the right circumstances, it could really happen. And if you cross the wrong people, it could happen to you. But of course, the rest of the movie still happens, and Michael does his due diligence and finishes Arthur's work.
I know what you did to Arthur.
It's protected. It belongs to you, North.
I know you killed him.
It's a cut and dry case of attorney-client
See,
privilege.
now that's just not the way to go here, Karen.
And it's super satisfying to see. But there is a moment where it seems like Michael is going to give up on revealing the truth. He learns that his own firm is aware of U-North's cover-up.
U-North, what if he wasn't crazy? What if he was right?
Right about what? That we're on the wrong side? This is news. This case reeked from day one.
And now he's essentially being paid for his silence.
Look, I agreed to this, okay? But there's rules now. You want the contract, you're signing a confidentiality agreement, it's going to be bulletproof, and it's going to be retroactive.
It's the money he's needed for the whole movie. The money he's been scrambling desperately for. The money he needs to settle his debt. And he takes it. The only reason he takes down Karen and U-North at the end is because Karen jumps the gun and has the very same hitman attempt to blow him up. If she had just left well enough alone, Michael would have too. And Arthur Edens would be remembered not as a repentant martyr trying to do the right thing, but as a suicidal lunatic who had succumbed to his own self-destructive tendencies. And that's a terrifying thought. So that's my scariest scene in a non-horror movie. What do you folks think? Is it as frightening to you as it is to me? And what are some scenes in non-horror movies that scared you? Let me know in the comments below. And check out Michael Clayton. Not for nothing, but it got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Original Score at the 80th Academy Awards. But it also had the terrible privilege of coming out the same year as No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, not to mention Juno and Atonement. Tilda Swinton made off with an Oscar though, and frankly she deserves it for playing the surprisingly human and anxiety-riddled villain Karen Crowder. Anyway, if you liked the video, like the video. Subscribe if you want to, hit the bell cause you got to, and I'll see you folks again real soon.